everybody, and welcome to episode 132 of the Rashiz Radio Podcast, your home for horological hot takes, taboo topics, and often unpopular watch opinions. I'm your host, Brodinky. With me, as always, is my co-host, Mr. Schmidt. Schmitty, it's been a hot minute. How are you, buddy?
A very, very, very hot minute. I've been good, man. I've been good. Glad to finally be back and recording the first episode of the new year, 2025. Here we go.
Yeah, I did want to open the show. Just give a quick shout out to our buddies over on the West Coast. You might know them as the Spirit of Time podcast, Matt and Greg. Yeah, hopefully we talked to them. They're safe, but our hearts go out to them and our best wishes. They are dealing with that whole wildfire situation over there. So
yeah, it's terrible.
Just wanted to let everybody know we were thinking about them and ask if everybody else could do the same. And also, I think Greg is doing a fundraiser with some tequila folks on his page, Time and Tequila. If you can help out, I know there's some tequila prizes and stuff, which are always nice. And trust me, he's put me on a few times. The stuff he recommends is really, really good. But yeah, if you want to help out, they have something going on for that. Just crazy events, crazy start to a new year.
Yeah.
To say the least, drones, wildfires, you name it.
My gosh.
Land acquisitions.
It's gonna be an interesting 25, that's for sure.
To say the least. But yeah, we're here, we're back, we're ready to go. We got some new watches and a new year. I guess we'll see what it brings. I know we didn't really do much the past few weeks. How was your holiday and everything?
It was good, man. It's good. I was checking today and kind of seeing when the last time we recorded or dropped an episode was, and I was like, man, it's almost been 2 months, but it's been a solid month and a half for sure. But I think it was needed for both of us. Like you and I were both kind of like playing tag back and forth over the last couple of weeks of like when we could squeeze in an episode and everything. And, we talked about this before off air. It was just, craziness. Like the holidays always get crazy, especially with little kids. So apologize to everyone for not making a pretty consistent schedule throughout the holidays, but I think you guys would understand what's been going on with your own families and such. So
yeah, I was going to say also what happens is, I know even for myself, like I wouldn't even notice if like my regular content consumption was not there during that time of the year. You know what I mean? Like
for sure,
everything is so crazy. And even listen, November, December, always busiest times of year for me, given my profession and everything. But
yes,
regardless, just having a family, having to work, if you're married as both of us are, two different families, right? Working everybody in,
smashing everything together, for sure.
For multiple holidays in a month period, and then capping off on New Year's and everything. So, listen, it got hectic. It's crazy. It's like I said, it's a big time of year for me. It's also the end of everybody's budget year. So, like, if you're someone like me who has to do the books and stuff, you're wrapping everything up. It's nuts, and like we said before, apologies and all, but it's just something that has to be done once in a while, and little decompression, even a social media break once in a while is not bad. Like I'm not one of those people who put it out there and be like, I'm taking a break, because I think that's kind of weird. Like just do it.
It's like
nobody will think anything of it. Who cares?
Exactly.
But
I was thinking about that too, because I was like, man, I haven't seen Bro post in a while. I haven't seen him on my feed, and I was like, I checked and I'm like, yeah, he's kind of been off, but hey, I saw your new logo.
Yeah, that was me playing around with the new Grok AI, the Elon's AI program.
Okay.
Like you could ask it to do stuff, and I was like, all right, let's see what you could do here, guy. Let me try to read some fun stuff. So that came out. It looked kind of like a restaurant logo, so I was like, I'm gonna go with it. It's fun.
It was good. I liked it. I was surprised that you put it up there, but I thought it was funny, and I well, not funny, but I thought it looked good. Like it was a cool logo.
Yeah. So, trying to just keep the mind at peace. It's pretty much the way
sure, man.
The past couple months have gone, but yeah, we've had plenty of new watches drop in the past few weeks, and there's a lot coming out in 25 as well. Some pretty cool stuff. I know one that stuck out to me was this new Speedmaster Flight Qualified.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of. I know a lot of people don't like the 2 register Speedmasters. I like them personally. I think they're cool.
Me too.
I think everybody thinks stuff like the Dark Side and stuff like that are cool, but things like this, it's evocative of a lot of those, Mark IIs and things that I like, and even a little bit of Flightmaster and stuff like that. Some neat heritage Omega, but this is a cool piece. It's an automatic chronograph, something that we're not typically associating with a lot of Omega, right? Everybody's always hand wine, hand wine. I mean, I know they make automatic speedies, but it's just something different, a little bit of a different offering, but definitely very cool. And I don't know if you saw the case back on this guy. It's got
Yeah,
the
it's
Lockheed U2 on it.
so that's the non-civilian version, but yeah,
Oh,
it's sick. It's sick.
there is two different versions. There's one for us lay people, and then there's an actual
Correct.
flight qualified badass one.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
really sick.
So it's interesting because you brought this up, and it's you guys know where I stand about Omega, and I absolutely love this watch. I think it's very you're very correct to point out like this is very Mark II vibe, like racing Mark II vibes,
Yeah.
Flight Master vibes. It's got a lot of that, which is obviously intentional. Like those were always marketed as pilot watches, and we often think about Speedmaster, we immediately get drawn to the Moonwatch, but Omega's produced so many different flight watches and pilot watches over the years throughout its history that led up to the creation of something like a Speedmaster. But this is such a cool watch to me. I love the colors. I think it's very funky. But to your point too, I love the two subdial register chronos. I think they're very symmetrical and it allows for a little bit bigger date aperture at the bottom. I think it's good. But I just love to watch it. This is something that like is a cool piece that literally came out of nowhere. Nobody was asking for this.
Yeah, I don't
Nobody
think
was
anybody
expecting this.
would have predicted that one.
And it's cool that like there's actually a version being supplied to like military pilots, like special operations pilots. U2 pilots is one of them, but there's a few other squadrons apparently that I've seen case back logos for, and they're customized for those units.
That's so
But we got like a civilian version, which I think is
Yeah.
super 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 cool.
a lot of times you get a reissue of a previously issued watch. This one
Mhm.
is simultaneous, which is neat.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It's cool. It gives enough of a difference between the commercial version and the military version, keeping the military version exclusive and still special. But I just think that it's a cool watch, and I really want one. Like it's, I was kind of battling in the beginning. It was like, is this a little bit too stolen Valerie? Because it's like it's technically like designed for military pilots. I'm definitely not a pilot at all. But I was like, there was a lot of people that were flight masters that probably weren't pilots, and you know what? Maybe this is a watch that I should get. So, as far as Speedmasters are concerned, this is one that is very much on my list. I want to get this watch, and the fact that it's all brushed out, like brush bracelet, brush case, brush pushers, everything is no reflectivity. To me, that's very cool. And I had the opportunity to try it on a person already because they're already in stores. If you did not know that,
Oh wow.
it is phenomenal. It is so well proportioned. It's 40.85 millimeters.
Yeah, I was gonna say for the folks that think the Speedy's just a little bit. Most people say long, not big so much, but a little long. This one's a little smaller, a
Yeah.
little bit over 40 mils, and it's 100-meter water resistance for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very much a over-engineered Speedmaster, and I'm sure a lot of that was directly attributed to probably the military feedback that was
Yeah, of
given by
course.
the pilots, right? Like, hey, we don't want to worry about winding it. Let's make it automatic. Hey, we want to make sure if we have to touch down in water that it's a little bit more secure. Let's up the water resistance and make it 50 meters to 100 meters. Like that to me is specific to this watch that I think is very cool. Hey, you know what? We don't want any polished surfaces, make it all brushed. Like those to me seem like very utilitarian, purpose-built choices that is very cool and kind of an oddity about this particular Speedmaster within the Speedmaster family. And I think that that's really cool.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. What else? Omega also put out something, turquoise Aquaterra offering, which turquoise has been the rage now for probably, I don't know, 2 years.
Yeah.
But they put out an Aquaterra. It's turquoise with a lot of black accents, black date wheel, which I think a lot of people would like because it's heavy contrast. Also, the gradient dial kind of plays really well with that, seeing as you're gonna have the bright turquoise in the middle and it's gonna fade to black. So the black kind of ties in really well with the markers and the date wheel. Does come in two different sizes. You get your 41, you get your 38. All the usual good stuff about the well-rounded Aquaterra comes with it, you know. But I mean, I think it's really good looking. Like it's a like they picked a really nice color, and the contrast with the markers is very well done. I think.
Yeah, I think it's very cool. I mean, the challenge is with something like a turquoise is it's a color that is feminine enough that it could be too feminine. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think the way that Omega went with doing this, with kind of like this darkened fume dial, this, kind of more gradient patterning, especially with the hour markers in the hands, because they've got that like blackened finish to them. I think it's great, man. And the fact that they're offering it in two sizes, in 41 and 38 on the new bracelet with the new case, the 6 o'clock date, black date wheel, like you mentioned, I think is a great choice for both men and women. Again, I've seen this watch in person. They're already in Omega boutiques. They should be at retailers as well, from what I'm hearing from the market. It's awesome. Feedback has been very positive on this watch. I thought it was a little odd. It was released during winter because it, to me, kind of feels a little bit more of like a summery spring watch.
Agreed.
But you know what? Omega's going to do what they're going to do. And regardless, this watch is going to sell, especially as it is available now going into what will eventually be spring and summer. So I think it'll have a second moment for sure.
Yeah. I guess while we're sticking with this color scheme, we could go to the new Mark 20 from IWC. If you like turquoise and black, this is very much your episode. So you're probably familiar with some of the other Petronas models that they've dropped before: black dial, turquoise markers, turquoise strap. They did it again this time in a little bit more of the typical conservative mark casing. If you're unfamiliar, it's your kind of run of the mill. I think it's a Type A pilot's watch layout, and it's got all the good German pilot attributes that everybody likes. But again, black date wheel. The numbering is turquoise, which is cool too. A lot to like. I like this. I know it's kind of plain Jane, but it's one of those things that this is one of those watches that I had to come around to, because I thought it was too plain for me at first. And then eventually I was like, oh, you know what? I could probably get away with this. Like, it's minimalist, and I can dig that,
Yeah, there's beauty in the simplicity and the restraint, right? Like,
yeah.
Sometimes we think when you look at a good design that, like, if it's too simple, then it must be like not well thought out, but in actuality, we've talked about this before. Sometimes the most simplistic of designs are the most difficult to execute, right? Because you're wondering if it's too complicated or too simplified. There's kind of this happy medium, and the Mark 20 does a really good job of this. It's really a flagship model for IWC, and I think in many cases it's probably, I would have to argue, it's probably one of their better selling pilot watches out of their collection, because I mean, again, it's 40 millimeters. You have a variety of colors, you have a variety of strap materials, and it's actually wearable. Some of their big pilots are too big for the average person.
Tour caps.
And they're pretty slab sided. The few times that I've tried on big pilots, like, they can be a pretty thick watch. Like, you're definitely wearing a pilot watch, right? But I think this is that kind of sweet spot. I'm a sucker for turquoise and black. I think when they did the first Petronas ones, they were cool back then. They're still cool. I think, though, it's a little bit interesting that they went for more of like a pedestrian version.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is going to be a lot less expensive than the chrono versions that they had before. But regardless, I mean, you're getting a black dial, titanium, turquoise, rubber strap. I mean, summer watch, dude. Like, this is it,
Yeah, and you know what I love about this watch? It's 10.6 millimeters thick. It's like,
yeah, I mean,
you're not even gonna know you're wearing it.
How
it's
can
grade
you
5
hate that?
titanium.
Yeah,
Like,
how can you fault that? How can you hate that? It's just like, if you have enough watches in your collection and you want to splurge for something a little bit more flashy without being like gold or two-tone or something like that, like, this is it. And it's, at 6,100 US, like, it's a very respectable price point for a titanium, luxury watch with this type of colorway. You know what I mean?
yeah, especially from an IWC, it's no slouch of a brand.
No, again,
Yeah.
to my point, right? Like, that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's like, it's something that most people could actually spend money on and get.
Yeah, 120-hour power reserve too, which is quite convenient.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's kind of disgusting in a watch that's only 10. That's only 10
sick.
millimeters thick, right?
Yeah.
Damn. What's the rest of the industry doing?
All right, we'll keep it moving along. Let's go Doxa. Doxa put out a new limited edition sub 300 in collaboration with Topper Jewelers. It is long gone by now, unfortunately, but this is probably one of the prettier sub 300s I think they've ever put out.
Yeah.
It's called the Great White. It says Great White on the dial, which is also pretty badass. As you could have guessed, the dial is white.
No, it's blue. No, I'm just kidding.
Now
God,
the
I'm blue.
accents are blue, navy, and it's kind of the adoring sub 300 we all know and love, but it's just very well executed. The colors that they chose, it's a very stark white, it's a very rich blue. As pedestrian and kind of plain Jane as that sounds, I mean, you see these photos of it, and there's just something about it, like the way that it looks under the crystal. It just glows. It looks really good.
Yeah.
Everybody I've known who's checked it out so far has been like, I think this is my favorite Doxa. I'm like,
Yeah,
I can respect that.
it's hard not to love this piece. And again, Doxa's got another soft spot in my heart. I own two of them. One is a sub 300. This is a phenomenal release, and I'm sad that it's a limited edition, but they did it right to keep it exclusive for Toppers clients and things like that, which is amazing. It's a phenomenal watch. It's got the right amount of vintage vibes and still feeling fresh and new, because I mean we've never seen a Doxa in this colorway, right? Especially not with a fully loomed dial. And what I think is so interesting is if you think about all the full loom dials that what are the two predominant colors that you see on a full loom dial? It's white, and
Yep.
it's usually black.
Yeah.
This is not that. It's a full loom dial, but it's white and blue, which
Yeah.
we've never seen. And it's kind of silly that when you think about, like, again going back to like restraint and simplicity, it's kind of interesting that something so simple that has been done a million times over can still be cool and refreshing and new and exciting, because they're like, why don't we just make it blue instead of black? And everyone's like, this is the coolest looking watch ever. And it's just literally a simple color change. And I think the fact that it's got a different name too, like the Great White, like perfect,
Yeah, it's awesome.
because Dox is a diving company. They've had a watch called the Shark
Shark
Hunter
Hunter,
forever.
yeah. Makes
Like
sense.
it's perfect. It's literally perfect. And I don't know what it is that Rob over at Toppers is drinking, but that team over there, they always come up with the coolest collaborations
They have
and the
some really good
coolest
collabs.
LEs. I don't know how they get all of this exclusivity with these brands, but they must sell a lot of Doxas. But I will say this, man, like they're doing it right. Whoever is in charge of design that works in collaboration with these brands, they know what the hell they're doing for sure.
Yeah, I gotta say, it is really nice. And like you said, usually or oftentimes when you get a full loom dial, you'll get that kind of, and it's cool and it's niche for what they usually are, but you get that sort of off green, whitish color, which is, like I said, it's neat, but it's not something I want every single day. So this
For
sort of
sure,
gives
for
you the
sure.
alternative to that, where you don't have to run around with the, ecto cooler vibe on your wrist all the
Yeah,
time.
man. It's just a cool party trick because everyone sees it as a white dial watch, and then you step into the room, it's like boom, like it
Yeah,
looks
I
like
did. I don't remember which watch it was, but I did happen to wear a pretty loomed out watch to a kid's birthday party one time, and there was a room with a black light in it, like it was at like one of those laser tag places. I walked in, it was like,
yes.
"Vroom," and everybody's like, "What the hell is that?"
That's when you're like, oh, this is a happy accident, but I'm so glad I wore this watch.
And here we are.
It's like wearing a Ploprof, it's like the whole thing's just gonna illuminate. So good. But yeah, man, that's cool. That's it. I love this watch. I'm sad I'll never see one or get one, but good job, Toppers team, because it's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, we got a. While we're on the topic of limited editions that we're probably not going to be able to get, Timex dropped a trio of OG Iron Man 8-lap models.
You sad.
They're going to be released in Japan, unfortunately, because these look really cool. I mean, listen, everybody's seen a Timex Iron Man. You've probably seen the 8-lap and you don't even know what it is, but you know
Yeah.
what it looks like. Trust me. It's like when you're trying to tell somebody about a song and you're like, you definitely have heard this song. And they're like,
And they're
how does it
what
go? It's
song?
like,
What's
I
the
can't sing it
artist?
for you, but you've definitely heard it. Like,
Yeah.
you're like, it goes bump, bump. And they're like, no, it's like, no, you know it, but I don't know the name of it. So I can't tell you what. Anyway, same idea. Like, you've all seen this watch. You just might not know what it's called, but they have three different ones. There's a black, there's a kind of copper, rose goldish, and then a silver. Yeah, to me, this is just quintessential retro Timex, which is, you know, like a soft spot for me. Like, I think everybody, honestly, because it reminds you of when you were a kid. It reminds you of nostalgia, growing up, the 80s, the 90s, a lot of really great times. So I dig these. I would definitely pick one up because I can't imagine their crazy price. I didn't check what the price was,
No.
but yeah, they're just going to be released in Japan, so that's nice.
Yeah, I'm like, thanks, Timex. If you ever do listen to this podcast, which I'm convinced that you do, please bring this to the US. You'll sell a bunch of them. And I think the retail is like $125 to $145 US, something like that based on conversion. But again, this is just one of those like quintessential nostalgic, like you grew up, like if you're in your 30s and 40s, like you grew up seeing somebody wear this watch in the 90s, right? Like it's like that. And you don't know where you've seen it, but as soon as you do see it, you will recognize it and remember it. As soon as I saw the teaser for this on Timex Japan, I was like, all right, how do I get this watch? And I'm like, oh, it's only available in Japan. Fantastic. I was like, this sucks because this watch is very cool.
All right, the
And
article says allegedly if you use Apple Pay, it'll somehow it doesn't figure out you're in the US and it'll just send it to you.
I feel like that's a loophole that'll be closed very quickly.
Yeah, like I feel like somebody's probably going to figure that out, but especially because it's published, but I mean, it's worth a shot.
Yeah, Timex immediately shut that down. No, but I mean, just bring it to the US. I mean, what would it, you know, okay, give them the three specialty models that you did for them in Japan. Cool, great, awesome. But give us a version of it in the US because this is, looking at the case proportions, looking at how it wears on the wrist. Like, if you don't want to wear clunky, thick G-Shock, this is way more refined than that. Way more refined than that. And Timex has been on a rise, over the last several years with a bunch of different heritage pieces that they're bringing back. Like I saw that they did that Timex and it was like Gear Patrol or it was something like the James Company. It did a collaboration with Huckberry, something like that, right? And it was like a vintage reissue from like the 90s, 2000s that everyone loved. And they brought it back as like a LE for the US market. I was like, just make them again. Like just keep them in your normal inventory. Like you're going to sell them. People have nostalgia for these pieces. And like I was telling you, is like off air is like, there's a photo of my dad wearing this old vintage digital runner's watch. I cannot for the life of me find what it is, but I want to hunt it down. Like it's just this cool nostalgia factor of like remembering that I saw this thing as a kid and I want to find it because it's cool. So Timex, bring them to the US. Don't pull a Res KX on us, please.
Don't make me have to order it from Australia.
Yes, please God, no. I did that once and that was already crazy enough. Please don't make me do it again.
Yeah. So lots of limiteds in this episode drop. This one is, I believe, 2 limiteds, 1 non-limited. Nevada put out a black ceramic version of the F77. The non-limited version, it has the black braided dial that they offer on many of their other F77s. The 2 limiteds are a meteorite dial, which is a gray meteorite, and then a blue lapis lazuli stone dial, all of which look really good. I really, really like the meteorite because it's like I said, the kind of grayish meteorite. So you get a lot of different hues ranging from light gray to dark gray to kind of blackish, and it just mixes really well with the case coloring. Mm-hmm. Listen, I mean, we all know how A, expensive watches can be, and B, impossible they can be to get. I mean, this is a look you were trying to go for, and let's face it, not many of us are in the realm of black ceramic AP. Guess
what? I was
just
about to say that, yeah. I mean,
I'm not gonna lie. Even the lapis looks really good because lapis has a lot of black speckling in it, and it's a black watch. Like, man, I think they really did everybody a real service with this one. I think it's gonna be a real winner. I want to see one in person really bad.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, man. Like the fact that this is a $1,600 watch,
that too,
in full ceramic, in a 37 millimeter case, which, if you know, is one of the original AP Royal Oak case sizes.
Yep.
I mean, this.
12.8 thick.
Man. I mean, I'm just at a loss for words, man. Like this is. I mean, it's $1,600. It's certainly not a slouch, but that's a drunk internet pull the trigger.
Yeah, I've done stupider things than that.
I mean, it's gonna be kind of like, full send. But you're gonna end up with a sweet freaking watch.
You're gonna be on the
everyone's
gram,
gonna ask you about.
Picture like LeBron in a black ceramic AP, and you're like, I need that. Wait, I don't have that. No.
It's just good. Like, and the thing that kills me, is like, I know they can charge more, but I'm
Yeah.
glad that they don't.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know what I mean? Like I know that they could probably get away with selling that watch at $3,000 or $3,500 or whatever, but I'm glad that they're like, you know what? No, it's priced this way. That to me is very respectable.
Yeah,
And
I want to say the old Belova Oaks go for more than this.
yeah, like, and that watch is next to impossible to get or find, and it's old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now, did you see they came out with the Velcro strap for it?
Yeah, yes, I did.
It's kind of crazy, but it's kind of cool at the same time. I'm like, why not? Just buy it. Just,
Just do it. Just do it.
just buy it, man. Like, send us one. I want to see this watch. That would be awesome to see this watch.
Yeah, I mean
Or
they
any of these S77s. I mean, they're arguably extremely beautiful pieces. 100%. Very, very beautiful watches. The lapis lazuli dial, the ceramics, the meteorite, the fumés that they do. I mean, the Aventurine, we forgot about the Aventurine one. I
yes.
mean, God, dude, it's $1,100 in steel. Like it's just a beautiful watch. How can they charge this? It's crazy to me. It's crazy, but it's so good.
You know what? I won't complain about it.
No, I'm not complaining either. And did you see the Chronomaster, the full black that's coming?
Yes.
I mean, it's an LE 50 pieces, but damn,
Yeah, it's tight.
it's it's nasty. It's so good. Like it's just like again, like you know what? Let's just make it black. Let's make it special, and we're not going to change too much, but we changed enough that like that watch is entirely different. It's very Darth Vader vibes to me, and I'm here for that.
Yeah. Yep. All right. I think this is want to say this is the last one on the list. We have, everybody sent this one to me because it's just a default setting now that anytime anybody puts out a pink watch, it gets thrown into my inbox left and right. Uh, Oris has come out with a 34 millimeter version of the Pro Pilot, and it's very, very pink, and it's inspired by Miss Piggy. I believe she's on the case back as well.
Yes.
It's 34 mils, and it's a little one. I mean, you didn't think they could probably shrink this watch down. At least I didn't, but they did it, and it's here. I mean, it's not. Listen, I'm gonna be honest. It's not my favorite offering. I think it's got a stone up at 12. Listen, I don't know what it is. I didn't care enough to look if that was a rhinestone, a diamond,
It's a diamond. It's a diamond.
zirconia.
It's a lab grown, but it's a diamond.
But I don't know, man. Like I wasn't a big fan of the Kermit when it came out, and so I
That
feel like
that's
just by association, I'm like, eh.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Remove Kermit and remove Miss Piggy from the association. Then reevaluate the watch. What do you think?
I mean, listen, I feel like had they just made this a little more neutral, like the Nomos, that's probably about the same shade of pink as this, but I feel like a dude could pull it off. I don't know if a dude could pull this one off.
Well, this one is obviously a much more feminine watch, especially given the size at 34, right? Like that's
Right.
100% the case. But my point is, like, let's remove Miss Piggy from the conversation. Let's
I mean,
remove.
yeah, I definitely listen. Yeah, I would
It's just
give
a
somebody
ladies' watch.
respect points.
Yeah, it's just a ladies' watch, and I think to your kind of what I think what we're getting at is like when they did the whole collaboration with the Muppets, specifically Kermit, I was like, this is the weirdest collaboration I have ever seen because
Kind of left field.
I don't know what the tie is in. Like, I don't know what the tie-in is, right? And when they followed it up with the Miss Piggy version, again, I'm like, okay, now we're really leaning into this. Like, are we gonna get a Gonzo? Like,
Listen,
like,
if they do the Swedish Chef, I will consider buying one.
I mean, like, this is crazy, right? And again, it's not like this watch is inexpensive. This is a $3,200 timepiece.
Yeah,
You must really love the Muppets, which, let's be honest, hasn't really been relevant in like the last
since
20
like the
years.
Muppets movie.
But like, what was it like in the mid
Yeah,
2000s, like 2010? Like, I mean, that's quite a bit of time from when this was relevant. But no shade to the watch itself. Like the design of the watch is great. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with this watch per se, other than the fact that it's got the association with the Muppets, which I think, I can understand that, but it just seems too forced, and I think it seems a little bit too childish.
And listen, I'm gonna be straight. If I'm a woman, I don't want to be associated with a pig. Just my 2 cents.
Dang, I didn't even think about that. That's my male brain talking. I literally didn't even think about that.
Mm,
Yeah, you're right.
right? Just kind of
Yeah,
an off-putting
yeah.
association.
I will say this though. I'm glad that they only put her on the case back.
Yeah.
And I think it's got to be like on the rotor or something like that because there's like only a small little tiny loop
Yeah.
where you can actually see her. So I think it's got to be tied to the rotor somehow or whatever. So and it only might be able to see her in that one specific spot. So whatever, but it does say the Miss Piggy edition
Right.
on the case back. So
I mean, listen, if you want to, if you're really feeling your Barbie vibe and this is what you want to do, more power to you. But
now, Oris, if you want to give us one for Real Men Wear Pink,
I I think this would be a harder one to draw attention to, given that it's so divisive as far as the genders. Like, I'm not gonna be able to convince dudes to wear this one.
no, no, I wasn't saying that. But
Absolutely not.
I mean, if Oris wants to give us his watch and help promote the fundraiser, and somebody wins it and they give it to their wife or whatever because it's a free watch, like whatever, you know what I mean?
And your wife
But
punches you because you give her a pig watch. I mean, hey,
it's a free watch.
it's free. What? I want it.
Watch 20 years from now, these watches gonna be worth
Yeah, it's
$30,000.
50K watch. Miss
Yeah,
Piggy.
the Miss Piggy $50,000 watch. Yeah, man. Again, if you take out the association of what it is, like it's a cool watch by design, but I just think that the Muppets thing is a very very hard sell. And I guess it's directly a collaboration with Disney then.
Yeah, I lose track of who is who with
Well,
the who owns
I just
what,
saw it
like
pop up
ESPN,
copyright Disney.
Marvel,
So
this, that, the other thing.
I guess it's property of Disney, which is why you can watch the Muppets on Disney. And
Uh-huh.
yeah. But yeah, you had me in the first half, Oris. I don't know if you had me in the second half. I was good with the divers, the revamped Diver 65, but it was kind of like, okay, you had me in the first half.
Um, all right. And yeah, and just that's all for watches as far as our usual recent drops and stuff go. An interesting conversation I had with a friend of the show, has been on the show, has been featured in Hodinky somewhere before. Was having a conversation with them the other day, just kind of about like kind of the general feeling of I guess the hobby and the industry
Mhm.
lately, and it kind of just got me thinking. And I'm kind of curious as to how other people feel about it, because this was, again, we were kind of just chatting, and I was saying, oh, I know I haven't really been around much, and I've just been kind of just trying to lock in at work and just get through the holidays and stuff like that. But I was like, I don't know, sometimes I feel really detached. Like and I don't know if it's just burnout or jade or what, or if it's just that I don't see a lot of new releases that I really jive with. I'm not really excited about a lot of things. And again, maybe it's just because you feel like you've seen everything at some point, or you're kind of happy where you are with your collection, or you're not really looking per se at a lot of things, so you're just not drumming up that excitement every day. But he kind of agreed and was just like, I think that sort of like the death of Hodinky has hurt a lot as far as
Mhm,
like
mhm,
enthusiasm
mhm.
in the hobby goes, but just as far as kind of drumming up that excitement, that watch adjacent stuff, in addition to what's hot, what's coming out, what cool events go down, but just like all that extra stuff, the Alton Browns, the Anthony Bourdains, the whatever it might be. I mean, you don't really get a lot of that anymore. I mean, you get a lot of that with like watch spotting, but again, I think that's like as like shallow of content as you can get. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
for sure, for sure.
Whereas before, you were really getting sort of a taste of the collectors and what they're doing and like what they're about. You had plenty of talking watches is always sort of like the go-to with that stuff, but even just interviews, or kind of like they would do like those tag-alongs and stuff where you would sort of just see the person in their environment doing their thing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's just like boredom or whatever, or if listen, I mean, the hobby's been white hot for for a few years, and I mean
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
due to cool off a little bit, and maybe it's a little bit of that. I'm really
I
not sure, but
I think, and I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, though sometimes it feels like we do because we get a lot right. We can predict a lot of
I'll concur
trends.
with that.
We predict a lot of trends before they happen. But I think this year, what I think, people have been feeling is a lack of excitement because there hasn't really been a lot of exciting product, right? And this is not just like a specific brand issue. This is
Right.
like a universality issue. And we were talking about this, that we kind of had this realm of like we were going bold colors, bright designs, kind of interesting things, dial materials, that kind of stuff. And then you're starting to see more brands are like, all right, we're just going to do a blue dial, we're just going to do a black dial, we're just going to go kind of back into this conservative gray, you know millennial gray, whatever, taupe tones, world. And I don't think
You think
that
it's a step back as far as
I
excitement
think
goes?
I think it's a step back because the brands are trying to be overly cautious about leaning too hard into this, trend of color and all this avant-garde design and all that stuff. Because let's be honest, it's only going to be here for so long,
Right. And we've talked
right?
about that. We talked about the sort of consolidation and the
And it's going to happen. It's
yeah, it
happening now.
100%
It's
is.
happening now, right? But I think these brands are kind of leaning more into a conservative aspect of things because they feel like these trends are going to start to switch, and they're going to start to kind of even out. What I think needs to happen, in my personal thing, is we really need to see brands push away from the divers, push away from, the constant stuff that's been fed down our throats for the last 15 years. It's steel sports watches, it's divers, it's two tones. It's like we need to see a change into something different. Right. That's why, kind of, even though I hated that Brutalist watch, like it was kind of exciting because at least it was something different.
They made another
That
one, by the
I know, I saw it, and we don't need to talk about it because
No,
whatever.
it's the same
It's the
same
same
story,
watch,
different. Yeah.
but it was at least exciting in the concept that this was maybe edging on a change. Now, are we going to see that? I don't think so because a lot of these brands are in Switzerland, and Switzerland's a very conservative mindset country, and things happen at a very snail's pace with how they change to things. But all it takes is one company to do something crazy, and then a whole new trend starts. If you think about all the major trends that you've had over the last, let's say 5 to 10 years, right? The faux patina, that was one brand started the faux patina, and then literally every other company did it.
Yeah.
One brand did the bronze watch, and then literally every other company did it, right? It starts with somebody saying, you know what, we're going to do something just a little bit different than everybody else, and that's what gets exciting again.
Yeah.
But I also think the other aspect of this, in the terms of the excitement, is people feel the inauthenticity of the reporting on what's being covered.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of this stalemate is coming from. Because I remember waking up at 5 a.m. to check the new Basel World releases. I was refreshing my Instagram feed back in the day, especially when I was in sales, because I wanted to know what I was going to start trying to position to my consumers, right? My clients. But it was so awesome. And there was so much energy around, like, okay, every 30 seconds, there's going to be a new article from somebody posting it that's live on scene. It's seeing this watch for the first time. It has a meeting with the brand, and and you saw all these things, and this real passion and fervor behind it, because the people that were reporting on it were just as excited as you are. It was like, going to a bar and then sharing a really cool story amongst friends, right? Like that's how it felt. Like it felt like a friend was telling you what was coming out, and they were excitedly sharing that information with you. I don't get that feeling anymore. And I don't know if that's because of influencer culture. I don't know if that's because, all of these brands have become so business minded, right? They've moved away from what was hobbyist reporting to now business reporting. Let's be honest. I mean, how does these media companies even survive? You think about, like the Washington Post, the New York. Do people even read these things
Yeah.
anymore? It's like, how can you? It's so biased one way or the other. It's kind of hard as just a normal consumer to even filter through the noise. The same thing could be true for really any media.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
It doesn't matter if it's car media, it doesn't matter if it's, home cooking, it doesn't matter if it's, power tools, like everything that's out there is propagandized to some degree
Yeah,
because money is exchanging hands and nobody's honestly talking about these things anymore because they're being compensated to talk about them. And I think we're seeing that a lot in the industry because it is such a money driven industry that it just makes it less exciting. It makes it less fun. And I don't think that the people that are reporting on these things so much anymore are really the hobbyists. They're now the businessmen.
I agree with you. And that's actually those, you touched on two things that I brought up in the conversation I was talking about. One of which is that there is just absolutely zero objectivity in media. Even, I mean, even like a lot of the reviewers and stuff, and Mark from Long Island Watch touched on this. He's like, it's either the expectation is you get to keep the watch and then you can do whatever you want with it. You could sell it, whatever. At the end of the day, you wind up with an asset that's worth something.
Yeah. You're still being paid.
Right. So you're still being compensated.
Correct.
Right. So he put up a video that I don't know, some people didn't like that where he said, I will never do that, which is cool. I respect that. But like that is so like the norm. Either that or you're just straight up getting cash in your bank account. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
there's
It's either like a straight up money to money exchanges hands or a good for a service exchanges hands.
right.
Right.
And
Like
listen, I mean, if
you get a
that's your
prototype,
thing,
you get a watch.
if that's how you put bread on the table, no disrespect. Like do your thing. It's just,
For
but you
sure.
have to at the end of the day, you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm not 100% objective, nor
Yeah.
can I be, just due to how I make
And
my living.
and I think that that's a huge problem because
It is.
and this is really indicative of a greater societal issue. It's not just a watch
No, it's
industry problem as I was touching on. It's a societal issue that everyone's trying to please everyone all the time.
yep.
And we're always trying to make everyone else happy. And the hobby itself has divulged into that. It's like, oh, I don't want to say anything negative about this company because they may not send me another watch to review, or maybe I don't get invited to that next show that's going to give me more exclusive access to the next product that's coming out. So I have to be mindful of my P's and Q's. And even when they give objective, reviews or criticisms or things like that, at the end of the day, it doesn't ever cross the line.
It feels soulless.
It's like, oh, if I had to make one quibble about this, well, I wish the lug size was 20 millimeters versus 19. Okay. But how did you feel about the watch? Well, the watch is really, really well done. It's great. It looks fantastic and it's been good. I think you should go get one. Cool, man. How does it wind? How's the power reserve? How easy is it to change straps and bracelets? Is it comfortable?
Yeah, what's
Does
it
the
feel like
bracelet
day
pull
to
you?
day? Well,
Yeah, what does it feel like on your wrist for a week?
Right.
Like, do you feel happy picking it up? Nobody gives that type of information, and they can't because one, they don't have it for too long, or two, they can only say so much about it, right? So I don't know. I don't know how you fix it. I don't know how you fix it.
Right. And the other prong of what you're talking about is sort of just what I want to call is just the over saturation of the influencer culture.
Yeah.
And some people may think it's hypocritical because they'll be like, but dude, you have a big following, whatever. Yeah, I've never aspired to be that. You know what I mean? I've never tried to make money that way. I don't, even when I get products, it's usually for charity. Like I'm not out here doing that, right? Like even the Olican Vice that I got, I actually just got the paperwork to send it back. So I'm not keeping it. But, like I said, I was grateful to have it for a couple months, get to wear it, check it out. Like it was just a neat experience that somebody would say, hey, do you want to check this out? Knowing that I'm not going to go out there and be like, hey, this is such a great value proposition and blah, blah, blah. Like, listen, I'm not an uncivilized person, but at the same time, if somebody was like, hey, what do you think of that? I'm going to give an honest answer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, 100, as you should. Like when I saw, we talked about this many episodes ago, when I saw that Braemont, the re-released Braemont Supermarine in a store, and I wound it, and I was like, this is the worst winding watch I have ever felt in my life. And you're charging $4,000 for it. It's like, no way in hell would I ever pay that. My $400 Tissot has a better winding function than this watch. Like, sorry. And if anybody asks me, I'm going to say that to their face because I even told the sales guy because he felt me wind it and he like you could tell he like died inside
Yep.
because he knew, but he's there to try to sell me this watch and I'm like, dude, like this watch sucks, and he's like, yeah, it's been a really hard one to sell. It's like, well, it's going to be hard to sell because it's dog shit. It's not a quality timepiece. It used to be, but new management.
But just like I was saying, you have a lot of people who, for some reason, and I think it's just it's one of those things, people have seen other people get successful this way and
Yeah.
and now everybody thinks they are their own brand and that
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
important and that people should care about them. But like they don't bring anything to the table that's anything different than anyone. Like it's funny. My 5-year-old has found YouTube, and so he sees like these people who make videos, and it's just basically somebody talking into the camera and whatever, and like sometimes they're playing a game or something. And I'll sit there with him, and I try to just be like critical, and I'm like, what does this person bring that other people don't like? And the answer is usually nothing. And I think that's a big problem is everybody's trying to be their own brand and then all of a sudden try to parlay that and everything else. Mr. Beast has a burger restaurant and sells Lunchables now. Like,
Yeah.
dude, I don't want to get a burger from Mr. Beast.
Yeah, I just want to see you do like Squid Games content.
Like, whatever, man. If you're doing stupid videos where like you spent a bunch of money and did ridiculous things, I guess that's cool. I've never really been a fan of it, but like, and then it's like, oh, I'm doing this today. It's like I don't give a shit. Like,
well, I mean, and the other thing too. I mean, if you're talking about influencer culture at kind of the wider spectrum, like if you look at somebody like a Mr. Beast, right? The only way to maintain your viewership is to continually do more insane things.
Right. Which good luck in this space.
Well, and again, right? Like there's only so much you can do before you just become the white noise that everyone's trying to tune out. Right? Like that's just the reality of it. But in influencer culture, whether you're an OF model or you're, Mr. Beast or you're somebody that's a, streamer on Twitch or on, Rumble or whatever platform you use, whatever it is, they're constantly trying to push the fold even further. Like, I don't know if you saw that viral video of this OF influencer and she goes to a Five Guys restaurant. She's like, hey, how do I get the Five Guys?
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
It was the most cringe thing I've ever seen and totally terrible. But I'm just like, that's the level of depravity that these people have to push themselves to in order to get the views and the clicks. Right. And in the watch media space, that doesn't really exist unless you start doing extra cringy things.
Which we've seen. But also,
which
like,
we've seen, yeah, sure.
But it's not. But I feel like that doesn't jive with, as you were talking about, Switzerland is a conservative place.
It's a very conservative place.
Like Japan is a conservative place.
100%. Like Germany is a very conservative place by all these respects. So if you try to do these crazy weird things, they're gonna want to stay away from you because these countries and how they think of things, they don't vibe with that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just that, and just like the constant like ego trip that like people should give a shit what I'm doing every day. Like I've never woke up and thought, man, you know what I should share? The boring crap I'm going to do today. Like, listen, if you're just doing something really cool, watch related, whatever, like it jives with your content, whatever, you're just like you're in a cool spot, go ahead, whatever, it's cool, it's fine. But like the constant like vlog updates, like
I know,
oh, I'm gonna go eat lunch today. I'm going to Whataburger. Yeah.
The thanks for the shout out. But it's like yeah. I mean, I totally get it. And the thing that drives me crazy, and again, this is just influencer culture in general, right? Is I can't tell you how many influencers I see, like, like there's this guy that's been popping up on my For You page where he like rides a little moped around. He's like delivering like Uber Eats and stuff, right? And at first you're watching, you're like, oh yeah, this guy's working hard to make a living for his family. He's doing all these cool things. And then you're like, well, who's filming? If he's driving the car.
That's the one thing you always have to think about. You always got to step back and be like, wait, this is staged.
So
like 99%
of
the time.
Yeah. So the whole time is like, this guy is literally finding a spot while he's supposedly working setting up a tripod, a camera, an iPhone, whatever it is, and then filming himself make a turn or whatever, making sure it's the right angles to then get to this destination, leave somebody's cold food on their porch. And then you're like, this is all this is all bullshit. It's that moment where you're like, somebody took the
Yeah.
time to stage this in order to make me believe that it is real.
Well, same thing. I'm gonna stop randoms on the sidewalk in New York City and ask them about their watch. It's like, dude, first of all, they're gonna think you're robbing them, and you're probably gonna get
Yes.
hit. Second of
Yes.
all, who's that person with the camera? Like, come on, it's clearly it's not spur of the moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Even if it's
Or
a
the guy's like,
rando, you
hey,
probably stop
it's
them.
like, hey, how
Hey,
much money do you make every day or every month? He's like, where do you live in New York City? Can I check out your apartment? Like, if that was
with the
Texas,
way
that
people are now, absolutely not.
yeah, I was like, if that was Texas, dude, like that doesn't jive with people. You don't just go into somebody's house like that.
You know,
It's just very strange. And this is a bigger societal issue, and this is maybe like maybe this is a series we should start, like the rise and fall of influencer culture. Because honestly, man, I think it needs to go away. I think influencer culture just needs to go away because it's all fake. Like there's nothing real about it anymore. It's all fake. And even something like you, or like like you do a meme page. Like to me, that's not influencing anything. It's humor. It's comedy, right? That is cool. That is funny and is productive because it's social commentary. Somebody that's reviewing something in this way, or like, hey, sponsor me here, whatever it is, right? Like those types of things. It's disingenuous. And again, especially when you're doing the stories and the reels, and you're like, yeah, this is somebody literally took all this time to shoot this shot and then stitch it together to make me think in 20 seconds that they're doing this. It's kind of funny. This was a topic because I was literally thinking about this today when I saw this video. I was like, it's perfect for what we're talking about. But I don't know. I don't know how you go back.
well, that's the thing. I don't know how you go back either. You know what I mean? Like this is the culture that's here to stay, and like this is the instant gratification nonsense we're dealing with, and I don't know. It feels weird. It feels there's no objectivity, and it's a problem. And I feel like at the end of the day, people just get tired of it, and it drives them away, as opposed to
The,
bringing back or everybody's like, oh, it brings in new people. It's like, yeah, but I don't think it keeps anybody is the problem.
no, I mean you can bring in more people, but if they're not people of substance, then what's the point of bringing them in, right? Like
Yeah.
I would rather have five amazing, like dedicated, passionate watch collectors that are collecting $50 flea market watches, but they love them to death, than I would want 1,000 like Rolex bros that got rich on crypto. You know what I mean? Like it's just not the same. It was funny. I was at a watch meetup this morning with some friends, and one of the guys was like, "Hey, man, when you're recording." So that was kind of the first thing. So shout out to you, buddy. He's like, "When are you recording?" He's like, "I was like, yeah, we're recording tonight." And he's like, "Okay, thank God." Like I'm starting to fiend, man. I was like, "Okay, at least I'm important to somebody." But anyway, we were talking about this, and that's exactly the kind of stuff that came up. Is just like we need different, we need new, we need refreshing, we need to move on from this type of like influencer style culture. And it's just, yeah, I don't
Well,
I
it's
don't
like at the
know.
end of the day, who do you want to get your news from? You know what I mean? Like, listen, there's a million different outlets. There's people who are independent. There's
Yeah.
some people get their news from like Joe Rogan. Like but at the end of the day, like it's typically somebody who can deliver it well and knows something about it, and presents it in a really good way and has some sort of a value. Whereas, like, like I was saying, having all these different apps, your Snapchats, whatever, like everybody thinks they're the main character now. And that's the
Hmm.
problem
Hmm.
because not everybody cannot be the main character.
Yeah, not everyone has main character energy. Okay.
Well, there's that. And it's just like, listen, you don't walk in on day one and you're not the boss day one. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like you
for
walk in a
sure.
new company, you're not and that's the problem is you have two people who
Who think that
have that level of
who
entitlement
truly
now
who truly believe that they are that important.
because they think they're the main character. So like, I think part of it, like I said, is instant gratification. Nobody wants to pay their dues. Nobody wants to wait, put in the hours, put in the time, put in the effort, gain the knowledge. I can't tell you how many people, listen, obviously I've met a lot of people in this space just by
Yeah.
rubbing elbows and going to stuff. Perk of having followers, you get invited to stuff. I'm not going to lie. It's neat. It's fun. But like, you're not snobby about it, but like when sometimes you see like the very like basic level of knowledge people have, and you're like, oh man, like I thought it might be a little more than that, but all right, like whatever,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
fine. Like
yeah,
that's
for
what you
sure.
do. That's what you do. But like I don't. But that's what I'm saying. People will put that out there, like they'll use that. People love to throw the word expert around. Like I would
Yeah,
never
you're not an
consider
expert.
myself a watch expert. You know what I mean? That's like that's hubris to me. Like that's
Yeah,
like that bothers me to no end because there are
yeah.
people who are historians, people who are encyclopedias, right? You look at like a Jack Forrester,
Or a Tim Mosso, right?
that's
Like,
a watch expert. You know what I mean? I'm a douche who likes watches.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the same thing with me, right? Like, I know probably more than the average person does or the average collector does, but I'm also insane because I do all this research and I want to know these things, but I'm not an expert. At the end of the day, I don't live, breathe, die by every single thing. I need to know everything that ever was created in the history of the world, right? Like, it's cool, but I don't have time for that. I'm a dad. I got a job. I got to, travel for work. Like, same thing with you. And that was one of the other things that we were talking about during this kind of impromptu, meeting. Is like, when I was traveling, because we were like, oh yeah, so like, does anybody notice your watches when you travel? And I was like, I really don't want them to, first
Nah,
off,
hell no.
especially when I go to these kind of crazier places. But on the second hand, it's like when I first started traveling for work, I couldn't tell you how many times I just like embarrassed myself because I'd talk to somebody like, hey, like, that's a really nice Submariner, and like, it's a Rolex.
And you're like, both can be true.
I'm like, what do you say? Like, tell me
You just go,
you
yes.
tell me you know nothing about watches without telling me you know nothing about watches, right? Like I know it's a
But
Rolex, but
listen,
it's specifically a
I'm not saying
Rolex
it's bad to
Submariner,
have I'm not saying it's bad to have a superficial level of knowledge, but but don't play like you do.
But that's the thing is like that's how they come off. It's like it's a Rolex. Like, oh, you should know what it is. Like, bro, I know what it is because I know the model of it.
Or
But
when
they,
they're like,
they
this is the most top of the line brand out there. And
you're like, that's subjective.
well, let's have that conversation at a different
Yeah,
time.
that might be a little loaded of a statement, but it's just like it's one of those things where you meet people and it's like, wow, you are a crypto bro. Like you have been influenced. Like when did you buy that? Yeah, I bought it in 22. I'm like, oh God, you're the problem. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's that type of thing. And I really wish if I had a time machine, I really wish I could go back to like 2009, 2010 and just torpedo the watch blocks. We'd be probably in a much better spot, and you and I would probably have a sick collection because we'd buy all the stuff that nobody's ever going to
No, not
report
even
on.
that. Just tank the first handshake deal where it's like, listen, we won't say anything bad. Just send it to us. It'll be
Yeah,
cool. Nobody has to know. We'll give you a glowing review. Like you just keep us in the payroll, keep us in
yeah,
the product loop. We'll be good. We'll be good.
yeah.
Just torpedo that and be like, I really wanted to say a lot of good stuff about this watch, but I think it's kind of garbage.
And it was funny because I think you and I had talked about this off air at some point, but a very very prominent person in the industry that a lot of people know, especially in the U.S., love him or hate him. He was telling me in a private conversation because we met at a collector event. And he's like, yeah, he's like, I think the next thing for brands is to literally pay influencers to say anything about their brand. Like it's that is the next move
And that will be the
because
last final straw of trust that anybody had in you.
yeah, he's like there's going to be so many people vying for positioning, so many people think that you're going to start to see the top level influencers, if you will, or people that matter within the industry, literally get paid. Not that they all don't already, but they're going to get paid to be specifically the marketing mouthpiece.
A mouthpiece, yeah.
They're going to say what the marketing spin has scripted for them to say, and in essence, be an employee
Yeah, damn.
of that respective brand. And I'm sure it's already happening.
Disappointing. But you know what? Hey, at least once we acquire Greenland, I think that I'm going to be the head of Red Bar Greenland.
Oh, that would actually be hilarious.
Yeah. Well, it'll be like Puerto Rico. You won't need a passport because it'll be a territory.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
yeah, I want to be the founder and head of Red Bar Greenland.
The bro in chief.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's a good move.
I love it. I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Just a fun tidbit to leave you all with.
Come on, Greenland. We're waiting for you.
Scary things going on. Anyways,
Who knows?
On that one, we'll just let it fade out here. Schmidt, we'll hopefully do this next week. We'll get things back on track for the new year. Hopefully everybody had a happy and healthy 25. Again, best of luck, and our thoughts are with the folks on the West Coast and everybody at this point. I mean, I know people down south are getting hit with snow. People in the Southeast are getting hurricanes. Like, everybody just stay up, all right? Hopefully we'll catch you next week.
Take care.
Be good.